How you doing, YouTube? Matt Massive Beer Reviews. Back with a beer I've never had before, I don't think. I think I have had this, but then I go, wait a minute, have I had this? This is where Untapped would actually come into play. Where if I actually used it, I can be like, hey, you did have that, but, you know, just not an Untapped kind of guy. We're going to be doing a little bit of Boulevard Brewing. It's their Plaid Habit. It's Canadian Whiskey Barrel Aged Imperial Brown Ale. Yeah, this comes courtesy of my boy Max. He hand-delivered this just before Christmas. And I kind of want me a little bit of Imperial Brown Ale aged in whiskey barrels. Very on the nose. Randomly, I have one of those beers. No, I just want to kind of some kind of barrel aged jammer. So we're going to see what's what. Let's give it a proper pour. Pour it all in there. Label-wise, it is Boulevard label through and through. But it's got that nice little plaid thing going in the background. So, yeah. What do you want me to say? I like it. I dig it. I like the bottle shape. This is a 12.5%. Okay. Alcohol by volume. Imperial Brown Ale. So Canadian whiskey. Canadian whiskey is kind of like a weird whiskey for me. Is it kind of floats in that area between like a Tennessee whiskey and like a Irish whiskey. It kind of has a bit of both of those characteristics. Imperial Brown Ale, 12.5. Is that a barley wine? Maybe. Anyway, as far as the look goes, rich coal-like vibes. It looks exactly like what rich iced tea or so it looks like. It's got a nose. I mean, it really does smell like barley wine to me. I mean, it has rich red cherry notes. I usually don't get that from Canadian whiskey, but I'm getting it here. So I think it's a combination of the way the whiskey's coming off, not super boozy. It's more like fruity, kind of that red cherry, bright red cherry, almost like candied red cherry notes. And I think it's a combination of the Imperial Brown Ale coming off as a rich kind of red fruitiness, kind of pseudo barley wine kind of thing. There's really no booze to speak of. So you're talking about 12.5%, not really coming off all that hot. I mean, it really does smell like a red candy apple. Really, that's what I'm getting from here. The ever so slightest bit of booze, I should say, because it's kind of there, but not that much. Really, not much bittering to speak of. Let's dive in. Cheers. Oh, that's danger juice. That's 1,000% danger juice. It's not what I expected at all. This is probably one of the better barrel-aged offerings from Boulevard that I've had in quite some time, to be perfectly honest with you. Please enjoy by the 9th of October, 2020. I assume it's a year on this sucker. That's my guess. So, that being said, this being January 2020, so you're to October, November, December, January, 3 months on this sucker. It does have a nice kind of like softness to it with that 12.5% ABV and a Canadian whiskey. I mean, I haven't had Canadian whiskey in a while. Maybe I should revisit it, but it's always been a harsh whiskey for me. Something that was a little bit too rough and tough, but this is not coming off that way. Rich, sweet malts. It's all the red cherries. All of those red cherries, but in the nose, and it kind of came off a little bit more like almost like cherry powdered Kool-Aid. That's kind of how it came off. This is very much like legit, like syrup soaked maraschino cherries. So it has a bit of organic to it. It's not as synthetic. There's really not much as far as heat there. You know you're drinking something with a bit of oomph to it, but there's nothing there as far as like any kind of like burn in the back of your throat, kind of evaporating in the nostrils, none of that. It's really just kind of, you know, you're drinking a big beer. There's a little bit of a kind of like, it's not a chocolate malt, but it's more like a Nutella kind of malt, where it's like a chocolate malt, but in a very, very more subtle way. That kind of just follows behind that just cherry on cherry on cherry note that kind of follows through here. Let's put it this way. This is more like a Scotch ale to me. I mean, it kind of makes sense with the whole Plaid Habit thing. That's aged in like a super like bourbon barrel with zero heat. Ever so slightest bit, a touch of smokiness. Man, that cherry is awesome, man. It is probably one of the more expressively cherry forward beers I've had in quite some time. And there's no cherries in this. This is just brown ale, Imperial Brown Ale, and a Canadian whiskey. And the way this worked, the way this melded together, and the way what this turned into is fucking phenomenal. This is a great beer. I am blown away. The last couple barrel-aged beers I've had from Boulevard have left me a little bit wanting. So when I went into this one with a little bit of preconceived notion, I was like, maybe it's not going to be the best beer. I was wrong. This is delicious. And yeah, I am going to enjoy the shit out of this sucker. And that's pretty much it. I wish I could go to more depth to it, but there's really not much depth to it, and that's not necessarily a bad thing either. It is really just a soft, rich malt base that has that kind of semi-sweet kind of chocolate, that Nutella thing I was talking about, with this multi-layered kind of cherry component, a little bit of that Kool-Aid vibe, a little bit of the maraschino, a little bit of maraschino cherry syrup kind of vibe, like almost like a cherry Coke kind of vibe going with it. That ever so slightest bit of smokiness and done in a very beautiful way. Let's talk about it. It's one of the better barrel-aged beers I've had in a while. Actually, yeah. If you're talking about a Core 4 beer barrel, this is pretty good stuff. I've had better, but this is pretty damn good and eking up towards the top. Value and availability, it's Boulevard. Chances are you can get a 4-pack of this for like $15, which does not suck and leave you with, if you like what we like this beer, if you like barley wine, but you don't want it to be too sweet, because this is sweet, but not like barley wine sweet. Or if you like cherries, man. I mean, this is, like I said, one of the more cherry-forward beers I've had in quite some time, in a very, very pretty way. So there you go. Another review in the books. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Thank you very much for this, too, Max. It's very cool of you. Down there, if you want to talk about it, Massive Beers, if you want to check me out doing the social media stuff, Beer Massive. You want to check me out doing the whole podcasting thing, and hopefully you guys enjoyed our review. Hopefully you're enjoying a nice little, Plaid habit right now, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.